I was going to start, as I mentioned yesterday, with talking about apologies, but I'm sorry. We're not going to do that. I just got so inspired. I was preparing for a discussion about friendships in Krishna consciousness, which I touched upon yesterday. I got so inspired, I said, let's talk about that first. So that's what we're going to do. Okay? So between today and tomorrow, I'm going to talk about the 6 keys to a flourishing Vaishnava community. And the first key is someone to talk to, the art of Krishna conscious friendships. Okay? So first we have to set a little background here. Prabhupada writes about Krishna, or speaks, this was a class. Krishna is our natural friend, Surida Sarvabhutanam. There are different names for friends. One friend is called Bandhu, one is called Mitra, and one is called Surit. So Krishna says, I am Surit, which means such a friend. A friend sincerely wants your happiness. Hopefully we all have a friend like that in our life who really just wants our happiness. And we all do because we have Krishna. A Surit is a real friend, and Mitra is social friendship. Bandhu is official friendship, but Surit means one actually desires good for his friend. Sincere friend. Krishna is Surit. He's always wishing my good. Nobody can be better friend than Krishna, but we are so much unfortunate, so much captivated by the external energy that we don't accept Krishna as our friend. So that's the first. Krishna's our friend. Haribol. Haribol. Super Soul's our friend. The Super Soul is seated with the individual soul as friend and witness. As a friend, the Lord is always anxious to get back his friend, the individual soul, and bring him back home, back to Godhead. And Narada Muni talks about the Guru as a friend. Right? This is a famous verse, Brahmachari Guru Kule, Vastam Dantam Danto Gororitam, Acharyan Dasavan Nicho Guru, there's that word, Surida, Sorida. A student should practice completely controlling his senses. He should be submissive and should have an attitude of firm friendship for the spiritual master. So the spiritual master is also our friend. And Krishna has his friends, right? In the 4th chapter, Krishna says, Bhakto Sime Sakha Cheti, that because you are, I guess this is, we interrupt this program. Haribol. Thank you. Because you are my devotee as well as my friend, Krishna says to Arjuna. And Krishna has his friends. Madhu Mandal says this to Krishna. If you give me one more laddu, then I shall be pleased to give you my blessings so that your friend Radharani will be very much pleased with you. Just one more laddu, bas. Okay. And Prabhupada had his friendships. I'm very glad to know that Anand Prabhu is staying with you. Please offer my dandavats. He is my old godbrother, sincere Vaishnava. Please treat him like your father. Do remain in full cooperation. And in another letter, Prabhupada says, he is an old friend. So Prabhupada also has his friends. So what about us? What about our friendships? Why are friendships important to us as devotees? So following what Maharaj did yesterday, find a person sitting next to you and just discuss this for just a minute or two. Why is it important to have friendships in Krishna consciousness? Now you're supposed to actually talk.
Association.
Oh, tell that person next to you. Cartel or something. Yeah. Let's hear a couple of thoughts. Raise your hand. Yes.
So what we are just discussing is that in Krishna consciousness, friendships are more authentic.
They're more authentic.
Much more truthful, because there is no material gain or loss.
There's no material gain or loss. Okay.
Seeking out of those friendships. in these friendships we want to grow together. We always want good out of our friend. So because we are always seeking good, we pray for the better for our friend. The absence of those material energies actually makes this much more fruitful and authentic.
Thank you, thank you. More fruitful and authentic. And the ladies? Ladies don't have any friends? Is there a Mataji? Yeah, okay. Oh,
Can you turn the mic on?
gives you a sense of belonging and community. Thank you. I saw a hand over here. Yes. Go ahead. I'll just repeat it if the microphone doesn't work. It should work. And I should become a devotee. Great. Yeah.
So as individuals, we are already doing so many things by ourselves. So we are alone in our journey. So we need friends who can push ourselves to take the next step, to do great things. Like you always need a community and support. It's impossible to do big things just being alone. Like
Okay. So we need a pusher.
yeah.
All right. Yes, Boo.
So, as
Wait. We have a slightly older microphone distributor.
So I just wanted to mention one point, as His Holiness Bhagavan Keshav Swami Maharaj was mentioning yesterday that I went to find God but found family. So that sense of belonging and friendship,
Sense of belonging and friendship. Okay.
For me is the same.
Thank you. Krishnas, did you have your hand up? Yeah, Krishnas Garu. He's got a strong voice. You can hear it from here to Montreal.
Krishna, we know Krishna is our friend, but he's not as tangible as the devotees around us. So if we're friends with somebody who's a friend of Krishna, then that's a very tangible way to connect with Krishna.
Okay, let's hear a few more. Yes, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So from our experience, I feel that the whole world has become a friend when it comes to Krishna consciousness. We have crossed over a country called Armenia. We just went as a tourist and we found our Guru Maharaj there. We went to Russia and we found great friends there. We came to Dubai and we were immediately welcomed. And we have just now arrived in Canada, and the only relatives that we have are ISKCON friends.
Okay.
So I think that is something which
Worldwide
is
network of friends. Any last ones? Mataji here?
Hare Krishna Prabhu, like yesterday you were saying, with friends we are receptive of criticisms. We give that space for them to make us feel grounded, and even if our Shiksha Guru says something, we may not implement immediately, but if friends say that, okay, I can take that.
So you're assuming your Shiksha Guru is not your friend?
No, they are there.
Okay, good. Yes, and we're going to talk about that. It's a very good point about how friends don't let friends fall into Maya. Right? Isn't there a saying, friends don't let friends drive drunk or something? So we say, anyway, you get the idea. So a few things about friendship. A few quotes. A real friend is one who walks in when the rest of the world walks out. There is nothing on this earth more to be prized than true friendship. And the best time to make friends is before you need them. Make sense? Right? Okay. So our need for friendship, you brought up a lot of them. We need someone to share our realizations with. Right? Our thoughts about Krishna. Someone who kind of gets us. You know what I mean by that? You know, they understand us. I was, just like, even in little things, I was talking to a friend who I'm going to meet in New York in next week. And we were trying to decide if we'd meet in the city or in his house on Long Island. And he said, well, if you come to my house, there'll be gourmet food and fresh towels. And like this. So we come from a similar background. So I said, well, I wrote him back saying, well, it was the fresh towels that got me. And because we're friends, we understood each other and had a good laugh. And at some time, we all struggle. Everyone struggles, right? It's the material world. Let's see, how does it go? We're here because we turned our back on Krishna. Krishna Buli Se Jeev, Anadhir Bahir Mukh. And so we all struggle at some times. So with a friend, we can drop the facade. What's a good dictionary definition of facade? Acting, pretense, yeah. Right, you know what it's like, we do all kinds of stuff during the week and then we put up nice dhoti, nice kurta, nice sari, pakka tilak, and go to the Sunday program. And everyone says, oh, very nice Vaishnava. And we all know if they only knew, right? So with a good friend, you can be real. You can, with your ups and your downs and your sideways and everything, you can talk freely with a real friend. And it's essential to have someone who it'll be a confidential conversation with a trusted person. And ideally, we create a community that values this kind of Sanga, right? Where we can talk to each other and have these kinds of relationships. So, who to make friends with? Well, Prabhupada says the next item is maitra, friendliness. A devotee should be friendly to everyone, but his intimate friendship should be with devotees only. With others, he is not intimate. And Prabhupada says, the pure devotee gives the greatest respect to the spiritual master and acharyas, is compassionate to the poor, and makes friendship with persons who are his equals. And finally, friendship should be cemented between persons with mutual interest and understanding. Such persons are said to be swajati, of the same caste. So this gives some idea of, what we're looking, equals. Sometimes it's said that the best association, I think it's Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says, the best association is someone who's a peer and a little more advanced than you. So, association with peers and, common interests, whether, and of course, in one sense, we all have the same interest in serving Krishna and serving Prabhupada. But there also may be, there's different flavors in an international society. And we may have, a number of people that we call friends. It might even be in the hundreds, right? But a real close friend, maybe we're lucky if we have 1, 2, 3, like that. It'd be very fortunate. So, think about a close friend of yours, okay? And think about how did that friendship come about. And for some of you, you may have to go back. Krishnadas Prabhu was talking about his friendship with some of the devotees here that goes back 50 years. Okay. So you may have to go back in your memory a little bit. But spend 1 minute right now thinking about at least one close friend and think about what's the history. How did that friendship come about? Okay? You have 1 minute. Just think about that. Very good.
It's so hard to pull them back.
Yeah, no, it's actually easy. I'll tell you a trick, by the way, if you want people to be quiet in a big group like this. You make a rule, and we'll do this because I think we have 1 or 2 more breakouts. When I raise my hand, that means everyone has to be quiet. And when you see me raise my hand, you raise your hand and you're quiet. And that just kind of spreads within a few seconds. It's pretty powerful, actually. All right, let's hear. Where does the walking mic? Do you have it?
I have it.
Okay. Let's hear how did a few friendships that you heard, how did they develop? We're specifically asking how did they develop? Okay, yes?
Okay, I'm still friends with those devotees who helped me join, Mahatma Das and Balakrishna Das.
So just by joining?
Yeah, they really were the key people that Krishna sent to me to help pull me in. get rid of my other attachments, and I've
And how does it continue to this day?
Well, I'm a little guilty of not keeping in close touch.
Okay, we're going to talk about that. All right. All right.
But they're in my heart, and I'm
I won't sing that song.
I'm eternally grateful. And every time I see them, it's an exciting moment for me to share and appreciate, like that.
Good, thank you. Yes, well, we get microphone for this young lady.
Hey Krishna. I'm really blessed because I have my two best friends next to me actually. So
You cheated. Okay.
we all thought about each other. But yeah, we've known each other since we're like when we were born. Yeah,
Oh, that
so it's but we were talking about that helps as well, but also we've invested in those friendships. It's not that, because we've known each other since we were young, we're close. If anything, we had to invest in those friendships to become as close as we are today and like be best friends.
And how did you invest?
Well, we have like girl Sanga every month, so we meet up, we read like Prabhupada's books, and we have like discussions on like deep topics, and we become really vulnerable with each other, so that really helped. And then also like individually, we make time to spend with each other separately as well to invest in our
Making
friendship.
time, planning, scheduled meeting, very good. Okay, thank you so much. Who else? I see a hand way in the back. I don't even know who it belongs to, but.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
This friendship started sometime in the 2000s.
Okay.
It happened in the United States.
Good place.
And yes.
In friendships until recently.
In fact, that is when how my journey in Krishna consciousness also started because of the Mataji. We both were at a school. We both had come to take admission for our little kid who was 3 years old. And
Okay. So there's some friendship there. And
yeah, that is how it started.
children, yeah.
Actually, yes. And I was just sitting out there in the reception area, and this Mataji is also sitting there. Then I saw she's an Indian. Okay, so I asked her, "Hello," and then I talked in Hindi with her. So she responded. I said, "Okay, that's what she did." So that's how. Then basically we did our job, and then we were getting up to go leave the school. That's when she stopped me and she asked me, "Where do you live?" I told her where I live, and then she said, "Oh, then do you know this ISKCON temple? It's close to your house." I said, "No, I'm not aware of it. I'm still new in this state, you know." So she said, "I'll give you the address. You come on Sundays. We do the prasad, everything on Sundays." So I said, "Okay, I will definitely come."
So you took a little bit of a risk just going up to and say, are you from India? Or you started speaking in Hindi.
Yes.
And she took a bit of a preaching risk by saying, look, there's an ISKCON temple.
Exactly.
That's what it takes.
Yes,
That's what it takes.
that's how it started. Actually, that's how my journey started.
Wonderful.
And then I went that Sunday. I think it was of the fourth day of the Sunday came in, and I went with my daughter. And wow, the moment I stepped there, it was up on the hill. The house was up on the hill. So yeah, it was up on the hill. So pretty much, I climbed up. I said, "Wow, this looks very interesting." I just entered the temple, and that's where I felt a big pull, something pulling me strongly, and I saw Prabhupadaji's huge statue.
Okay, so
and-
let me ask you just one question, because you can tell your whole story about how you became a devotee. But how have you
Exactly,
kept,
that's how I became the
with that
devotee.
person? Have you kept in touch with that person?
Yes, no, when I was there, then we became best friends.
Really?
Yes.
And still to this day?
Till today, yes. We exchange
Ekdam
through
pakka.
WhatsApp now and we talk with, but we are far away, but yes, that's how we are still good friends.
Thank you. One or two more. No one else has friends. 1 and 2, yes.
By doing some service,
Doing some
we have the
service
chance to
together.
work with other people and meet other people, and then it eventually becomes real friendships.
Excellent, yes, doing service together. And yes, Mataji, just in front of Krishnadas Kaviraj.
Hare Krishna. I have quite a few best friends, and the common point what I realized, the friendship is still going on, not because of we have all the time fun together, but we have heard each other's heart, and still like without judgment. That is our friendship is.
Okay,
If it is
ongoing friends, And even through tough times and
Yes.
difficult situations. Very good.
Really, sir.
This is amazing. I'm sure if we had time, we could go through some. It's so interesting to see how friendships develop, and they do develop in different ways. But there are some patterns. Well, first of all, we don't know the person, right? Like your example in when you met that person with your 3-year-old. And then sometimes it becomes an acquaintance, right? And then a casual friend, a close friend, and then maybe, if you're lucky, an intimate friend. How to develop friendships. Remember we said yesterday that friendship, I like to see it as a verb, right? So here's some, this is not like the way, this is a way to develop friendships, okay? So there's the initial contact. Well, yours was by being born. Okay, okay. And yours by going to that, and yours by joining the temple, right? And different devotees doing service together, right? So maybe sometimes people at work, at the temple, if you're a brahmachari or brahmacharini in the ashram, meeting at festivals. Hey, this is a great way to make some friends, okay? Children of the same age. See, I had that before you said it. Etc. That includes everybody else. So then we take a chance. Right? As a good example, like you were saying, you went up to her and said something to her in Hindi. Right? Or are you from India? I can't remember what you said, but yeah. So you might sit with them at prasadam, might invite them to do something, and then be a good listener and really show curiosity. I like to practice my listening skills on airplanes. You know, when I sit next, because it's interesting, you know, even a person who they think they have a boring life, but you just start asking about it and they become animated and start telling you all these interesting things about their life. So being a good listener and showing sincere curiosity. And it's also good to remember details, right? So if, you know, their firstborn's name is, you know, Krishnadas, so next time you meet them, you say, oh, how's Krishnadas doing? Right? And you know, that really helps to solidify things and show that you had enough concern, that you were really listening to some of the aspects of their life. And then find ways to interact regularly. Because really, strong friendships, it's sometimes said that to develop a really close friendship takes at least 200 hours together. Right? So as Prabhuji's mentioned, I was thinking about it, well, some of my old friends are from living in a van together on traveling Sankirtan, and God, 2 weeks we already cleared 200 hours. Right? You know? But it takes some time to serve together, and you know, while we're doing that, we remember the 6 exchanges. What are the 6 exchanges of love between one devotee and another? I didn't ask for the Sanskrit. But no, you can say the Sanskrit. Anyone? Take prasadam, yes, offer prasadam and accept prasadam, my favorite part. Inquiring confidentially and listening to the other person as they're revealing their mind, and giving gifts. Yeah, giving gifts and accepting gifts, yes. Priti Lakshanam, those are the Lakshana, or the proof of priti, of love. Yeah. And you know, just showing up and being dependable and being supportive. It's a great way to have friendships. I assume between the 3 of you, you can count on each other, right? Yeah. And then gradually, you know, have deeper conversations about sharing realizations, sharing challenges, what we're reading, the stories of our life. You know, that's usually a natural outcome after spending some time. And as we spoke about yesterday, as trust develops, then you feel more, you know, relationships, I think they're kind of like, you know, when you, I don't know if you do this, but I did this when I was a kid. Before I went swimming in a swimming pool, I put my toes in it to see how cold the water was. Anyone else do that? In Canada, you don't care how cold it is, you just dive in, right? But, so that's a little bit what we're doing with relationships. Prabhu, it's a little difficult with them, if you could be a little quiet. Yeah. You know, you were kind of testing to see if this is someone who could be trusted. And then we, you know, then we can reveal our hearts more. And, you know, be trustworthy, make sure you keep confidential, whatever is supposed to be confidential, follow through on commitments, show consistent behavior, and stay in touch. That's what I was talking to Prabhuji about, you know, that he has, and he said it was his bad that he's not in touch with Mahatma Prabhu and Balakrishna Prabhu as much as he'd like to, because it's really important. Ongoing relationships require us to, you know, stay connected. Although at the same time, I know probably many of us, especially some of the old timers here, you know, you haven't seen a devotee in 35 years, but you see them in Mayapur or at a festival, and it seems like sometimes it's easy to reconnect almost instantaneously, like you said, kind of like with your situation. Yeah. So, comments, questions so far on friendships and developing them and their importance, etc. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. So, my question is related to maintaining a relationship with the devotee. While we try to maintain the relationship, but when we feel, this could be like maybe we can talk after the session or maybe, but then I just want to put out the question. So that, what if the other devotee feels like, okay, they are more private and close to be connected? How can we...
So what if the other person isn't as interested in developing the friendship?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, then maybe it's time to find someone else.
Okay.
You know, we make our efforts, and you know, remember we talked yesterday about keeping the door open. So you know, for example, you can say, listen, you know, anytime you want to talk, I'm available. Or are you going to be at the temple on Sunday? We can, you know, maybe we can hang out. And if they, you know. There's chemistry also involved in friendships, and not every single person that we know is going to be a close friend, right? Then Prabhupada used the word swajati, you know, which means, you know, like, I like the way he would sometimes say like-minded, you know. Yeah. So, but give it a go. Give it a try, and if not, you know, there's other Vaishnavas. Look how many Vaishnavas here. There's like all these, at least 100 men here you can make friends with. By the way, I was probably going to mention that later, but you know, many of us have friends. Our spouse is a friend, right? And that's great if that happens. I do like to say though that it's really helpful in a marriage for men to have men friends and ladies to have lady friends. Besides, so they're not just like clinging to each other all the time, right? You know, because that happens sometimes. So it's really important to have, you know, have other people you can talk to besides your spouse. Although it's good to talk to your spouse at least once a week. Minimum.
You are discouraging so many people out here.
Other questions? So many, yes.
Prabhuji. Yeah, so Prabhuji, my question is, you know...
Wait, microphone's coming.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. So my question is, like, we know that I have a close friend, but the problem is, you know, after coming to the Krishna consciousness, the real problem, you know, like, we don't want to hang out there, right? So, but how to avoid that, you know, because we also don't want to, you know, lose them or something like that.
Yeah, it can be that can be a challenge when we take when something, especially is as often all-encompassing as Krishna consciousness, and it wasn't there in the friendship before, and now all of a sudden, you know, we found God, you know, and if we think that it is important to maintain that friendship, then it does have to be done, you know, carefully, right? Because you know, was it? God, where's my memory going? Who was talking? Was it me or was it Maharaj yesterday? He was talking about, you know, oh no, sorry, it was, I oversee a sage group with Wisdom of the Sages. We have these, like 45 groups of 7 people. So last week's discussion was, when we became devotees, how did we relate to our friends and family? And every one of us said how it was a disaster. we were fanatics. I kept the Bhagavad Gita under the table at dinner time with my mother. And I didn't want to really talk to her. I wanted to keep reading the Bhagavad Gita. And, so it is a little tricky. If we decide we want to maintain that friendship, then we have to do it a little slowly sometimes. To bring them along, because for many of us it's a whole new experience, and we've given up, we've changed our life, we've changed our hairdo, we've changed our eating habits, we've changed our partying habits, and now it's all Sankirtan party stuff, So it is a challenge, but it can be done if you think that's an important relationship to maintain. Okay. A brahmachari over there had his hand up? Yes. It's nice to see that saffron's not only a spice in Canada.
Hare Krishna.
Yes, Prabhu.
Thank you so much for the session, Prabhu. I always thought that friendship is, developing friendship is a natural thing.
Yeah.
There cannot be a layout, but you put out a very nice layout. And I was thinking, all the friendships that I have, actually, when I was developing them, they went through these stages.
Achha.
So that is beautiful.
Thank you.
My question is actually regarding...
And just before it's so important for brahmacharis to have really good friends. It's very, very important. Yeah. Go ahead.
Yes, Prabhu. My question is regarding maintaining relationships when you live in an ashram setting.
Right.
So you have 20 more devotees, and you not only see the good, but you see the bad, ugly side of, everyone. So, there is fight, there are, differences. So how do you maintain friendship in that?
Well, I have to dredge my memory of when I was a brahmachari. A long, long time ago. Well, how do you do it? How do you like that? Answer a question with a question. Or before I comment, yes, Prabhu, what would you suggest?
I make it a point to see the soul.
Really?
To go beyond the body.
Okay.
And this helps me to see the divine in all. And that way there's no question of negativity, things like that. So.
I tend to see the divine in everyone except those who have faults. That's my tendency. Yeah. Any other help for this wonderful brahmachari?
I think if it's a true friendship, it shouldn't really matter.
It shouldn't matter if it's a true friendship. It is a fact that, okay, let's do this little exercise. Think of someone that you really, really trust. Okay, and let's take it down a notch from Prabhupada and your Guru Maharaj. Okay, that's someone a little, more day-to-day in your life. Someone that you really trust. Okay, think of that person, get that in your mind. You have 10 seconds to think of that person. You'd even give them maybe the PIN to your debit card. You trust them so much. For me, that would be like Maha trust. That was supposed to be a joke. All right, now, think of someone that you don't trust. What do they say? You trust them as far as you can throw them. Right? You just don't have it's just somehow or other, it's been not a great relationship from the get-go. Okay? Think of that person. Don't think about them too much. Now, picking up on what you said, Mataji, what's the difference in communications with those two people? Anyone like to offer? Yes? With one, you doubt everything the person said. That's your good friend. No, that's the person you don't care. Yeah. And the other person? You trust and you see the good in them. You accept, yeah, okay. What else? Communication? Yes, Lakshman?
With one, you reveal even your deepest secrets or things that you wouldn't tell other people, and the other person, it's just superficial. Hi, how are you? Fine.
You're guarded.
Yeah, guard it.
Yeah, okay. All right. One more?
With one, there's almost daily communication, frequency, and with the other, there's hardly any, and maybe more assumptions.
Yeah, right, okay, good. Yes, by the way, I keep on diverting from a diversion from it, I'm diverting, but one instruction that Prabhupada gave that has helped me so much with that latter person that I just don't get along with, and he said to respect from a distance. And that's so you're not offending them, but you're respecting them, but you're keeping a distance. So Prabhu, back to your question then. Based on what we just discussed, focusing on the positive, focusing on all the wonderful aspects of a person, and we're going to talk about this in a few minutes. But if the relationship is really close, then we can actually point out places that our friends have to improve upon. And that can actually, if it's done in the right way, that can deepen a relationship so much by that. Yeah, yes, Prabhu. Vaishnava. He was a brahmachari 15 years. That's like world's record back then.
Well, I would also say it's how important are the differences? You know, is it that important that that person does it this way and you like to do it that way? I mean, so you got to see how relevant that exchange or that differences is, and if it's not that important, let it go.
Thank you. Prabhu, is this helping? You want to say something?
Yeah, I think it helps, like not focusing on the differences. How important, like Prabhu said, how important the differences are. Maybe we can ignore them and focusing on the positive, because there's always more positive than the differences.
Definitely, there's that letter to a Trey Rishi Prabhu, famous letter that Prabhupada wrote to a Trey Rishi Prabhu. It would take me a few minutes to find it, so I won't. But Prabhupada was, the question that a Trey Rishi Prabhu had asked Prabhupada was something about impersonalism. But anyway, Prabhupada said in the letter, he said that the devotees are better than anyone else in the world, better than any king, all of them. And so better to be like the bee that looks for the honey than the fly that looks for the dirt. This is a letter to a Trey Rishi, a really wonderful letter to a Trey Rishi Prabhu. Yeah.
Prabhu?
Yes. Have to let the MC speak.
Also, on that point, is when we have
hold the microphone.
When we have a good relationship with a friend, we've gone through so much together. There's such a strong foundation that when one of us, one of the friends bloop or something bad happens, or causes harm to the other, it's essential to remember all the good times that we had together and all the positive ones that we have, and just let that one time difficulty or whatever pass.
Nice. And you must have a very good friendship with your wife, since you've been through so much. Prabhuji and his wife were in a very dangerous situation before they came to Canada. In Lebanon, yeah, so. All right, shall we carry on a little bit, and then we'll take more? Yes, okay. One more, two more. Mataji here.
Yes, Hare Krishna Prabhuji. So, before when you were sharing that spiritual master can also be a guru, and that Mataji said that the Shiksha Guru can be a guru. So I just can be a friend. So I just wanted to ask, how to maintain that friendship with the Shiksha Guru or a superior, because in that kind of a relationship, we also need to be more caution and create some boundaries also, not for them to not feel that we are kind of getting in their way, or because they have their own mission and they have many students or many things to do, And so would you suggest that it should be also in the same age group, or can we also have the...
Well, context is really important. So if we look at the context of that verse, Brahmachari Gurukule, it was about brahmacharis living in the ashram of their spiritual master, right? And that very specific relationship wasn't, you know, in more modern times, we don't emphasize too much the guru as like our friend, like, hey, how's it going, Prabhu? Right, to our spiritual master, how you doing, Maharaj? You know, it's more like Hare Krishna Maharaj, right? Or, so there's so many other instructions about how to have a relationship, a proper relationship with a spiritual master. And probably the most important one is to take their instructions as our life and soul. And so I don't know if that was specifically what your concern was about.
Like a Shiksha Guru or a mentor or...
Well, okay, with Shiksha Guru, we have Devaki Nandaprabhu. He's the one GBC in the room. He can tell us all about that. No, I won't put him on the spot. But it's a very interesting term that different people use in different ways. How's that sound? So, but we can appreciate. I'm not. So, she was saying that. You can't be friends with a Shiksha Guru. And I was joking, well, why can't your Shiksha Guru also be your friend? But it depends on relationships. It depends on time, place, and circumstance. And you know, we respect and we serve and we hear from our seniors. We make friendship with our peers, and we give mercy. We give instructions. We give Krishna consciousness to those who are younger, or you know, like that. So that's the basic instruction on relationships. Okay. So let's carry it. Prabhu, did you have one last one? No. Okay. Let's carry on.
I was just going to quickly add to the point that you follow the Siksha Guru and let him be your friend. Let him treat you back as a friend.
Okay, yes. Yes. Friendship should flow from them.
Yeah.
Yes. Good point. Thank you. All right. So now I'm actually going to put you to work. Okay, I actually want you to do something here, right now, or at least make a plan. So think of a friend or a potential friend, okay? And someone important in your life, or someone you hope could be important in your life. And make a plan. What's a step you can take to deepen that friendship or create it? Maybe, you know, let's say your friendship is at an 8 out of 10. What could you do to make it a 9? Or as in Prabhuji's case, maybe he'll you know, give a call to Mahatma Prabhu or something like that. But what is a small thing, or it could be a big thing, but something you could actually do to develop a friendship that's already great, or to work on a friendship that's not, you know, that has the potential? What is something you could do? I don't think we need to share. We've done a lot of sharing. But actually think about that. And, you know, I hope everyone could leave this room today with something, even if it's a baby step, something you can do. Now, I got a little inspired to bring this up because I did that today. I did, actually, I'm doing it twice. I had this friend in New York. I happened to be at the Bhakti Center doing a presentation there, and I just said, hey, let's get together. And then I really went wild, and I said, okay, I'm going to be in Florida for some work next week, and I looked into changing my flight, and I have 3 very close friends in Alachua, and so I just said, okay, maybe I should just cancel that flight, spend another week in Alachua, and hang out with some friends. So those are my 2 plans, okay, and really be in touch with them, and really, you know, take the time to do that. So you have a minute now to think, what is something you could practically do to work on a friendship? Okay, now do it. Do it. Okay, and you can be. I was thinking one thing about being a friend, having a close friendship, is you can be a fool in front of them. So I have a close friend of mine was His Holiness Kadamba Maharaj, because we helped manage the Krishna Balaram Mandir back in the 90s together. He was the temple president. And we would do our management meeting every day after Tulsi Puja. Right? So even when he was very ill, he said, Braj, I'll see you after Tulsi Puja. So anyway, so this was embarrassing from my point of view. This was about a week before he left this world, and I was visiting Vrindavan, and I ran into His Holiness Jayadvaita Swami, and he said, Braj, come with me. I'm going to go see Kadamba Maharaj. So I went with him, and Maharaj, of course, Kadamba Maharaj was very weak, and we walked in, and this is so embarrassing, actually. But anyway, we walked in, and he struggles so much to pay obeisances. And I said, Maharaj, no, you don't have to pay obeisances, you don't have to pay obeisances. He said, Braj, I'm doing it to my guru, not to you. Oops. But, our friendship was such that, we just said, Braj, you idiot. What are you thinking? So, with a close friend, you can do stupid things sometimes. As I was looking for this photo this morning, I was just going through my photos, and it reminded me, because someone took that picture on my phone when we were in New York. And one of my favorite things to do in New York is just walk around. I'm from New York originally. Boma Ijadi, when one's place of birth is worshipable. So I was walking around that day, and I saw these two things, which it's a little bit of a diversion from the point, but it kind of connected. And I saw this in one window. Life is not a spectator sport. And I thought that was really cool. And that means that you should all do that step to increase your friendship, all right? And then I saw this, which I thought was really funny, but very New Yorkish, right? I don't know if you can see it. Be a fountain, not a drain. I just happened to see that when I was walking around New York. Yeah. But this is something I worked on with my son. He helped start something called TSI, the Sanga initiative. Have you heard of that? And he talked about safety in relationships and no safety in relationships, and non-disruptive Krishna consciousness and disruptive Krishna consciousness. And what we meant by disruptive was, I think somebody had mentioned here, you can go up to your friend and say, get it together. That's, you're saying schnick, schnick, giddy, giddy, ray, ray instead of Hare Krishna, right? So when there's no safety and non-disruptive Krishna consciousness is just yato mat tato pat, you're okay, I'm okay, it's all good, Hare Krishna, right? So everyone's closed off, no courage to change, no vulnerability, okay? Then safety, non-disruptive, passive community, lack of growth, comfort zone, lack of depth, etc. And then no safety and disruptive, this is very much sometimes what it was like in the early days of ISKCON. Scared people, fanatical beliefs, surface level, lack of depth. But then, what about disruptive and safe? Relationships are real, honest, vulnerable, changing, and growing. So a friendship doesn't just mean always the positive things. If it's a really close friendship, we can get on each other's case. And it's always, as some of you had said, I think you were also saying this, you take it in the best light, you take it fine, and you say that this person's really trying to help me. It's just like Prabhupada once wrote several places that the spiritual master tends not to chastise a neophyte disciple, because they may not take it in the right way, but he can chastise the advanced disciple who understands that this is completely for their own good, the chastisement. Yeah. So years ago, I actually went to grad school at a Mennonite university. There's Mennonites in Canada, right? Yeah, right. So I went to a Mennonite university, and they asked me to give a talk, not the sermon, but after the sermon, But I was listening to the sermon, and it was a great sermon. So this is an excerpt from it, which I think is really powerful for us when we're thinking of Vaishnava communities and this point about, disruptive Krishna consciousness. Let me suggest, at the risk of being the bearer of bad news, that if all we do is help a church full of diverse people be friendly, get along with each other. Now that's a good start, by the way. And not fight very much, then we simply make church nothing more than a polite, neighborly social club, and we settle for a cheap substitute for Christian community. Interesting, huh? So I thought that was connected to real friendships. It goes beyond niceties to really getting down to helping ourselves progress in Krishna consciousness and come closer to Krishna. So there are some organizations in ISKCON that help with this. As we heard from my intro, I started something called ISKCON Resolve in 2002. And it's a service dedicated to helping devotees address concerns and work through conflict. Our goal is to foster a supportive and collaborative environment within ISKCON, guided by Srila Prabhupada's teachings. And one of the services we offer is an ombuds, or an ombudsman, or an ombudsperson. And that's anyone in ISKCON can talk to and know that it's 100% confidential conversation. They can talk about anything. It's usually about some challenge that they're having, some conflict, some concerns that they have, and it's completely confidential. And then Rambaru Mataji, she's started Karuna Care, and Karuna Care sees its program as an investment in both youth and leader development to provide cutting-edge tools that create cohesive, caring communities, one heart at a time. So, further questions, comments? We have a few more minutes.
There's one in the back.
Oh, way in the back. Okay. And tomorrow we'll do apologies. Oh, sorry about that.
Hare Krishna Prabhu. Just a question. If we understand friendship as going through thin and thick,
yeah,
no matter what happens, is there a condition or set of conditions that would warrant the termination of friendship?
What was that last part? Is there something that warrants what?
A condition or set of conditions that would warrant the termination of friendship.
Termination of friendship. I haven't found that to be the biggest problem. It's more about creating them. So I haven't thought about that much. I have to think about that. I mean, of course, if somebody, starts, creating, values in their life that are very much opposed to our values, then we might not find it very interesting to be friends with them. We also know Lord Chaitanya said, "How do you know a Vaishnava?" And he immediately said, "Asat Sanga Tyag, a Vaishnava Char. Sri Sangi Ekas Krishna Bhakta Ar," right? So he immediately said, Asat Sanga Tyag, you don't associate with people who don't have the same spiritual aspirations as you. So if that could be one way to say, listen, it's probably better we part our ways because this isn't really going well. But it depends on the time, the place, the circumstance. Did you have something in mind in particular?
Sorry.
What's that? I just came to his mind.
No, I didn't have anything specific, but just was wondering is it only one-way street?
No, everything's two ways because we all have, our free will, right? And so we may exercise it in different ways. And after all, even Krishna said at the end of Bhagavad Gita, "Now I told you everything, do as you wish to do." So we have we may have to exercise our free will in different ways depending on the situation. But the bigger challenge is creating friendships.
Because in this material world, it's a place that all the ego comes in.
Yeah.
And it's a battle of ego. So it almost seems that friendship, unless there's a selfish motivation, there's some contradiction in that. That's why that question came to me.
Okay, thank you. Other comments, questions? Yes, Prabhu?
Hare Krishna, thank you, Prabhu. I'm just wondering now, you said friends don't let friends get into Maya.
Yeah, right.
So, what do we do if we have a friend and we came to Krishna consciousness together and we just see them going more and more toward materialistic life and letting go of Krishna consciousness and association of devotees, and what do you do? But you don't want to like fault find, or you don't want to seem like, I know you mentioned like asat tyag, but I don't know, I don't really know what to do. And we talk to senior devotees, and they say, just let him go through it, and he'll come back, but I don't know, what do you do?
Different shlokas for different folks. It depends. It really depends on the time. I hate to keep on saying time, place, and circumstance, but if the relationship is really tight, then then it's one thing, right? Just say, what the hell, we can even preach to such a person and they take it in the right way. I think we said yesterday, that, or actually tomorrow we're going to talk about this perhaps most important verse in all the verses we've ever studied, the Tatenu Kampam Suksham Vikshamano, and that means when we go through difficulties in our life, we should take shelter of Krishna. The verse says a lot more than that, right? But you go up to a person who's not ready to hear that yet, and you say, "Oh, Prabhu, it's Krishna's mercy," right? And they'll say, "Well, I'll give you some of Krishna's mercy," right? They're not ready to hear that. So it depends on the relationship. It depends, but yesterday's discussion about asking open-ended questions, how are things going with you? How are you feeling about your relationship with Krishna right now? And that's just checking in on them and see what they have to say, and see if that brings up some. Because lots of times it could be just being a good listener and asking questions, and then they come to some decisions, some thoughts themselves.
So I feel like if they sense judgment or criticism, that's just going to push us.
Right. So so what I just said, do you think that was judgment? Say, what's your relationship with Krishna like?
I agree. That's a good way to.
Yeah, something like that. Oh, yeah, I see a lot of hands. Yes, Prabhu. No, the one behind you in the white kurta. Yes.
Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Just because we're kindred spirits.
Just wanted to ask about. So one of my questions was that in this process of getting like-minded devotee association and becoming friends with devotees, one of my regrets that I had was that I ended up rudely ending.
You end up what?
Rudely.
Rudely.
Yeah, ending some of my other friendships, very close friendships I had before outside of devotee association.
Oh, okay, some bad experiences, bad breakups.
Yeah, and and primarily, and then they start blaming Krishna consciousness for that. Because you came here, this is why I had, and they then, so and it's difficult to get back with them, or reconcile in minor ways. So how do you maintain that kind of balance? Because honestly, you just want to dedicate your love and attention to one side at one point of time, but then there are people maybe who might benefit from maybe your association with them, right?
The answer is it depends. But that's my cop out for the rest of the day. But there's times when you just say, "What? Forget it. I'm not gonna." So okay, I don't have the energy, I don't have the time, and they're not interested in the same things I'm interested in. That's fine. And if they're a little upset, what to do, right? But then there's other times when you might say, no, it's probably worth giving a little, maybe even being a little vulnerable and saying, listen, I know when I first got interested in this bhakti thing, I was like, born again, Hare Krishna, and I'm sorry about that. It's just, that was my immaturity. But could we do a reset? If you think it's important, But I was trying to channel, my first answer was trying to channel Jayadvaita Swami. He would just say, forget about it, as they say in Brooklyn. Right? So it depends on how important you think that is. But one way to address them if you do want to reconnect is just be a little vulnerable and honest and yeah, this is what I was going through, and I see that wasn't a good, I value our friendship, and how would you feel about, a reset? How does that sound? Okay. Yes, Mataji.
I think it's just about giving them space.
Microphone?
I think with friendships, it's about giving them space but making yourself available.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Very good. Giving space and making yourself available. So opening the door and seeing if they want to walk through it. Very good. Yes, with a beard. No offense. Such Maya! No.
I hear it all the time. Thank you, Prabhu, for this beautiful presentation. It was really helpful.
Oh, now I like him. Keep it.
In that case, I grow it longer. I wonder if you could permit me to push back gently.
No, next question.
Which is that I really love how you laid out friendship, but then you also said, with that nice quote from the Mennonite community, or how devotees chanting, that we have to have the ability not just to have like placating each other or being nice, we have to push back a little bit too. So don't those two ideas go counterintuitive to each other? Like how can we have a community where we are respectful of each other and caring, but know when to push a little bit and to challenge a little bit to help the community grow?
Yeah.
And we've all been on that side where we feel like someone's like friendship lane crossing, like we're not that close, and yet you're criticizing me, or God forbid we've been in that position or we've done that to someone else. So doesn't that require, how do we navigate knowing how to use the intelligence? How to apply?
That takes some intelligence, as Prabhupada once said. Prabhupada was asked the question, how do you know the difference between a detail and a principle? And he said, that takes some intelligence. That was his answer. Gosh. But this takes, if in the community there's like almost like a communal agreement, right? That we don't, but that doesn't mean it's just, open game at, I saw you chanting, watching, you looking at your phone while you had your japa piece on. Bogus! Right? It does depend on, relationships are subtle. And even the most subtle is our relationship with Krishna. Right? And everyone, Krishna walks into the arena in Mathura, and everyone sees him differently. Right? And so each one of us, every single person in this room, has their own unique relationship with Krishna. So we also have our unique relationship with each person in the community, and it varies. Now, this quote from the Mennonites, like I said, I don't think this is bad as a start. Be friendly, get along with each other, and not fight very much. That's, things could be worse, right? But then there's maybe something higher. I'm suggesting there is. But that really does depend on the trust and the relationship. Is that right? Yeah, I see a hand over there. And we'll call on ladies next. We haven't heard from a lady in a little while. Yes.
Hare Krishna, thank you for the session. I have a personal question regarding if someone is a little bit introvert, self-centered, and shy in making friends, what would you suggest?
Well, those are three different things. Self-centered didn't fit with the other two so much, right? Because you can be an introvert and still not be self-centered. Self-centered is kind of negative. Introvert's not a negative thing, it's just a nature. What was the third one? Shy. That's also a reasonable thing. So what to do in that situation? Find another introverted, shy person. Right? But seriously, that can be a challenge. And I'm a little bit like that, actually. I can speak in front of people and not be, introverted. But like, if I go to sometimes for work, I have to go to a party or something like that. I'm like a wolf. I'm just off in the corner, drinking 7-Up or something. I'm quite shy to really initiate things. So it can be a challenge, but maybe we have to see what we can do to break out of our shell a little bit if we think friendships are really that important. Okay. Ladies have a question? You just have a There's a Mataji? Okay. Oh yes, now I see it.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I was whispering when this Prabhu asked this question because I wrote it down this morning. Basically, this question about how do we know when to ask? How do we know when to push back a little bit? And I flipped to the next page of notes, and they were from a few months ago. And I wrote in these notes, how do I feel protected enough to soften? How can one be oppositional softly? And so I wondered maybe if you could just expand a little bit, because to be caring is not always to be soft, right? Like a lot of care.
Right. That's right.
And so
Prabhupada was hard as a thunderbolt, soft as a rose, and people say he was hard as a thunderbolt maybe 10% of the time, but that's a lot. Still 10%. Sometimes he could be on a morning walk and he was in his chastising mode, and people would not try to be too close to him, then one by one he'd call them up.
So through using our intelligence and our association with senior devotees and with Srila Prabhupada's books, through the increasing of the chanting of the Maha Mantra, how do we understand what is the will of Krishna to oppose, and how do we know when it is the will of Krishna to just go along and surrender with systems that might be damaging? Yeah, I'm just wondering, like...
Now you're asking a question with like 30 seconds left in the presentation. That'll take a long time. We could talk about that after the talk, but
I would appreciate that, thank you.
yeah, we have to depend on Krishna and use our intelligence. Also, we have to use, just in terms of when to know, when to chastise, when to who we can trust. There is something about intuition, and you just get a feel that I've been watching this person for a while. We may not consciously even do that, but we just think, I think I can talk to this person about this, and feel that they're not just going to, they're going to take it in the right light. Okay, so our time is up, and thank you very much. Tomorrow, I promise, we'll talk about apologies and a few other things. Hare Krishna, Lord,